to play the Magnificent. So this game is, you are running a, I guess, theater, and you're going to be showing several different acts, which are, you'll find out through the movie posters, and you'll require certain requirements. You'll do the actual gain money and victory points.
I think
it's all magic acts.
Yeah.
Magic. Sorry.
Magnificent feats.
Yes.
Feats, not feasts. I don't think they're actually going to say.
Okay.
There might be a dinner show.
There might be cannibals.
So this is a dice taking game.
Drafting,
yeah. Dice drafting. As well as placement. So you got to place your dice and get special abilities depending on where you place your dice as well. So there are a lot of things.
Tile placement.
Yeah. So a lot going on in the game. So let's quality of pieces. So you have your standard wooden circles. You do have a top hat that's a little bit different, as well as the cars. They do come with crystals.
Mm-hmm. Very similar to what you might get in Ascension, but different colors. They match the colors of the dice, which is relevant in the game.
Yeah, they do have purple crystals, so that's very important.
Except for you wanted to play purple, which is not really an option in the game.
I know, that was kind of buggy. I think they should have switched it up, but whatever.
You still got to look at purple though.
I know, so that was a benefit. And then you have the Tetris style of pieces that
Polyominoes.
They're a little thin, but they're not bad. I mean,
they're not bad.
I think that they work well for the size of the player board.
I agree with that one.
The player board I was a little disappointed. It's very flimsy. It's very thin. It's
it's functional.
It's functional.
It's got
but
texture
to
it.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't think it did.
No, it's definitely got a texture to it.
So
your imagination, that's smooth.
So standard cardboard. The cards themselves, no textured finish.
Yeah, they're very flimsy too. They're not super thin. They're actually pretty thick as far as cards go, but they are completely unfinished. They have a glossy coat.
Yeah.
Not really my preferred card style.
And then I like the dice because I love the see-through dice, and the color choices were nice.
And it's amazing you picked up the purple one too.
Is anyone really that surprised?
Not really.
All right, so let's give it a number.
I'd give it a 7.
As far as quality goes, I'm probably going to go with a 6. I mean, it's got a standard board, but the cards are not exciting, and the player boards are very flimsy.
I like the insert, so that organizes.
Well, yeah, the insert. Yes and no. There's an insert for all the tokens, which separates everything, which would be really nice because it comes with a lid, but it doesn't fit real well. So the tile, when I picked it up, all the tiles were all mixed up, and all the
but you can fix
crystals.
that with a little tape or.
Well, it's got to. It would be nice if it sat in instead of putting one big section in the middle. They should have had one for each section, and that would have made it fit nice, and then you wouldn't have had that problem. But they tried at least, so maybe I'll give them a 6.5 for that.
I think I'm just thinking about the other ones that we've done. This does have an organization. I definitely think, even if it's not perfect, I do think it gets a point for that. There are a lot of pieces to this. The dice, the wooden pieces, and some of the wooden pieces were actually shaped at what made sense for the game. You've got the crystals. So
I do like the little cars.
I think I'm going to give this a 7.5. Like, I feel like compared to some of the other games that we did, I feel like, especially with the organization piece, I think it gives it a little bit more. But there is nothing absolutely amazing about this game. So I can't.
As far as quality.
Yeah, as far as quality, I can't give it more than I can't give it an 8, but I don't think it's on the verge there. I just wish there was something that was beautiful. And then moving on to theme. So the theme is pretty interesting in the fact that you're trying to basically set up a lineup and do shows or tricks. So that's pretty interesting to me. What did you guys think about the theme?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, the theme includes the art, and the art is very pretty.
Yes, it is.
Although it's a little, to my opinion, a little dark in the background, especially when all of your tokens blend in with it on the cards. I mean, you have these black cylinders that they could have chosen any other player color, but they chose to put the black one on there. They could have done them white, but they got black on the card, which is really an odd choice.
You know what they should have done? Purple.
Made purple.
I think they probably should have done something that's not as a neutral color, so maybe a white or a gray. But to make it black on black, it just looks really odd on the card. And it's a very dark motif that the whole board has. But I think it's to accentuate the very bright light on it, which is kind of cool. I mean, it looks like kind of like a neon light on everything, which is neat.
Well, I'm looking at the art. It's definitely feels like the 1920s kind of cabaret feel.
Well, see, and that's where I think the game is really neat thematically, because when you look at it, and it's part of gameplay as well, but in order to do the tricks, you have to have a tent. And so, and it all kind of feels like that time period of, you know, the carnival coming to town, setting up the tents, and then all these amazing feats that they're showing. And so, and building up the power to be able to get to those feats. And, you know, that's like the grandiose scale of these tricks that they're doing. And you feel that. So thematically, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised because I didn't know what to expect from this one. I just knew I'd heard some good things about it, but I hadn't really investigated much about it. I just the art on the cover was sort of kind of bizarre as far as
it looks like some kind of.
Although I will point out, he before COVID, he was prepared. He's got his mask on. He's ready. Yeah, I mean, it was not the most exciting box, you know, but it did kind of remind of The Great Gatsby.
Kinda, yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll give it a try and see what it's like. And then when I got it out, I was like, oh, well, the pieces are not great, but, you know, as far as the color scheme, it's kind of interesting. But I had no idea really what it was. But I like tile placement games, so.
But really, when you were reading the rule book, that's when you was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
but let's give it a score for, I mean.
Yeah. For theme, I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's a really cool game. I really, really like it. Solid theme.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go 8.5 on this one. I keep getting these.
I could agree with that.
I mean, I think it's, you know, the way that it integrates, like you said, the tents and everything about it, and then, you know, setting up the area for the carnival, you know, you have to lay out the tiles for that. I just love how the mechanics of this game work and integrate really well with the theme.
I'm going to, theme-wise, I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Not really. You're not as impressed as we were.
Well, I mean...
Maybe it's because you're just not as old as Randy and I.
Yeah. That's probably it.
Yeah, we almost were around when these carnivals were coming to town, so.
Well, no, I mean, I think the thing is like when I think of circus, I get a lot more brighter colors, but in the same time, part of me thinks this is more of like a, you know, a Las Vegas magic act. I don't know, and maybe that's where it's just kind of a mixed feel a little bit. So maybe it is, in fact, a circus.
There's not much story
I don't
in the
think
book
of it
about
like that. I think of it as more as the darker circus, you know, the underbelly. That it's not that, you know, it's not Bob Circus, but it's but it's not Barnum and Bailey's either, you know. So it's like something that might be a little bit seedier in how they do their
They wrote a poem for the book, which is kind of neat.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
Let's hear it.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone outside the box, the Magnificents are in town. Buy your tickets, set your clocks. This is not your average clown. The tents are raised, the elements transpire. Didn't say it was a good poem. The sawdust is literally on fire. When the moon appears on the sunset's ember, you know but this will be a show to remember. It sounds like a Hallmark card more than a poem, but I mean,
so it is the kind of
that's all the theme you get is that poem. There's other than that, it goes straight into setup.
But it's the artwork and the mechanics that really set the theme, in my opinion. So.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to rules.
The rules were interesting. I mean, they were interesting to read. It wasn't tough. There were a few. One hole that we found in it was like on the final scoring, how you handled the end scoring. That was really the only problem we had with the rules. there was we had a couple places where we had to kind of read through it a couple times just to make sure we were understanding it, but it wasn't tough. But that in-game scoring one causes some problems because there were sections that said don't do this on the final round, but this one section on there didn't say how to handle the final round of drafting the cards, whether you were supposed to or not. And given the fact that there wouldn't be any tiles left over,
right?
It was kind of weird how it was written. And it turns out as we went online, we did the right thing. We chose wisely. You do draw all the cards, end up with 4 cards left over to score with, but
at half.
But it wasn't really clear. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad for being. I don't know if this was a Kickstarter or not, but it definitely was a very. I think it was a new company. I don't know, what company made it? You got the stats.
I do. So it's published by Aporta Games, Aporta.
Yeah, I've never heard.
So I never heard of them either. But this was released in 2019. The designers is, I apologize, Ella Svensson and Christian Amundsen Ostby, I think. Artist is Martin Mottet. Again, published by Porta Games. And MSRP, I didn't see it readily available online. I had to really do a little bit of digging. It ranged anywhere between $55 up to $75, depending on where you went.
Okay, so it's a little known company, or at least not known to us, and for them to come out with this quality of a game on the first try, or at least as far as we know, it's
our first impression of the company. They did a good job.
They did do a good job for what apart from the player boards,
right.
But I'm going to give the rules probably a 7. I'm going 7.5. Consider I'm giving 0.5s to everything.
Okay.
This is 0.5 night. You get a half point for free.
Okay.
I believe you.
Sure.
I would say the one thing that was leaving out is it didn't have cheat sheets.
Right.
And it has a lot of iconography. So it would have been nice.
It would have helped.
A lot of it was on the back
with the cards.
The back of the rules had a lot, but you still needed to turn inside to get to the trainer tiles.
And trainer tiles.
Yeah, the trainer tiles were the big problem.
No, I had a problem with the cards.
Well, the cards too, but the cards at least were on the back of the book, which that's what close to a cheat sheet. But it'd been nice for everyone to have this. Again, you don't want to pass the rules around.
All right. So going on to gameplay, I think that's where this really shines. There is a lot. So basically, you have a couple of actions. So first, you're going to pick your die, and depending on the color, it allows you to do certain colored actions. But within that, so it's like you pick the die. But first, you got to determine what color that you want to play in. So you have the purple travel, the green travel, the orange travel, or you have the purple placement of a tile, the orange placement of a tile, or the green. And then there's the giving the show track, which that case it doesn't matter which color that you chose. So just keeping that in mind about picking up your die, you've got to look at how strong you want for it to be, because you have to pay the cost of the pips for your highest grouping. But then you've also got to make sure that you're in line with what activity you want to do with the right color. So there's a lot of balancing, I think, between this game. Even though there's really not that many choices, there's still, it makes you think for a minute.
There's one really interesting mechanic when you draft the die. I'm going to summon the picture. And
I love your sound effects with it too.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I should probably do more like step right up. Here's the die. But on here, the cards that you use for scoring are your action cards that you get for the round, which is really a cool mechanic.
So you don't. I mean, there's quite a few games nowadays that have dual action cards, but not done like this.
This was something I've never
really
seen before.
So the top part of the card is your action.
Well, that's your bonus when you take the action, but that's where you put your action die. You still only have the 3 choices of actions, which is to build, to travel, or to perform your show.
Right.
But you get the bonus of whatever card you put it on at the top.
And then on the bottom.
Is your scoring
for that round.
For the round. And you draft a new one of those cards every round, so you always will have 4 available to you. But you've got to determine which one is going to be the most beneficial.
You'll have 5 available to score, but 4 during your actions.
Yeah, but you only score
and you
one
only
each
score
round
one
until the final round when you score all the remaining 4 at half. But that it's really a neat mechanic because
really cool.
You got to figure out ahead of time. Okay, what is my strategy for the long haul going to be as far as what am I going to try to maximize in this game? And then you collect those cards and use them wisely during the game. Which ones are going to be the max benefit at each round? So you have to, like the first round, I had to race to try to fill in one of the squares with orange so I could get the most benefit for the orange while I was still setting up for the future rounds for the other cards. It was
really fun.
Really fun mechanic
really
that I
fun
was
mechanic.
not expecting. When we even after we read the rules, it didn't really sink in until that first round, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I need to start gathering for all of these so I can have them set up. So I can go boom, boom, boom. And then I ended up changing strategies along the way and didn't even play half of them until the very end of the game. But,
which worked out for you.
Yeah, it worked out because I had everything set up. So I got all the bonus points for the half points, which was really cool. I mean, as far as it's just a very unique system that they built for this that I've never seen anything like in another game.
Now, gameplay-wise, one thing I kind of liked and thought it might need some improvement were these little tokens. The trainer tokens. And my critique is that some were definitely better than others.
Well, they said that in the rules. It specifically said that, and they said that's intentional. And I think the reason
I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah, it was. I read that specifically. It says, note, some of these are, it was a sidebar, it said, note, some of these trainer tiles are more powerful than others, and that's intentional. So at least they acknowledge it. And
that's
I think
true.
That's why they put the cost of them being, some of them being 2 versus 1.
Because I got 2 that I thought they really benefited me really well.
Mm-hmm.
One being able to negate the cost of one of the tricks, any one of the costs of that, which was really powerful. And then being able to increase the amount of tricks by not spending the extra power, which means I'd have to spend extra coin at the end of the round. So I think that one saved me quite a bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Miranda's, I mean, adding pips to your die is good, but it's not as powerful as I think as some of the stuff that I was.
Well, I think it depends on your strategy. I mean, that's the thing is I think all of them could potentially be good depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, like the one I got at the very beginning was great at the very beginning. Then it had no value later on in the game, but it gave me a huge boost at the very beginning where I was able to get a whole bunch of stuff right away with those doubling of the abilities when I played my 10s.
I just think that if you're intentionally making a game like that could be a huge crutch if you're not lucky enough to get some of those more.
Well, it's not about luck. It's about making sure you get up here as quickly as possible.
Right. But still, it could work out to where you don't get the advantage because one, you don't know what's coming up.
Well,
and
yeah.
So you got that, and then plus, if you didn't maybe work your way up as far as strike, you might have scored a bunch of points, but you didn't get up here. Then you got last pick here. You can kind of get.
Well, but the thing is, you got to realize you're also paired with one of the scoring mechanism cards, right? So really, like one of the times I was like, all right, I really want that trainer tile, but I really want that card. And then I ended up choosing neither one because the middle one was like the best of both worlds. It's like, oh, I could use both of those versus only one of them.
Because just to let you know, when you draft the card, you also draft the same row training tile.
Yeah.
So you don't get to pick one of each, whatever your choice. You have to take the whole row. So that's a really neat mechanic, too.
And I agree. And I'm not saying it as a huge negative. But I could see that might be frustrating at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you might end up with like a good card combo with the trainer, but I think that's, there's always going to be some luck in the game, but I think with having it paired like that, it does minimize it.
And whoever is the last one to go on the track, ends up being first player for the next round, so it gives them the advantage of having first pick of the dice. So there's a nice counterbalance to everything in this game, I thought. I didn't feel like there was anything that was overly powerful and just, like what we ran into with Dune Imperium, for example, where there was just certain things that were so much better.
Broken more.
Or certain cards were so much better. I mean, I felt like there were some tiles that were better, but they gave you more cost. You had to pay 2 to use them. And then the fact that your trainers you don't get to start with but 1 you have to open up those trainers before they become useful.
And I really like that you get them back, because that could have been really difficult, much harder game if you don't get those guys back.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's give it a score.
Go ahead.
I first? Okay. I honestly, for the first time playing this, I think it's a 9. I like the gameplay of this a lot. It hit everything I like. It's got tile placement. It's got, you're setting up a strategy from the beginning and trying to see how you can optimize it. You got the round scoring, and you can adapt your play during the game because of the different cards you're going to get. I mean, there's a lot of choices and variety of ways to score in this. Everything about it hits a chord for me, and it's unique. It's definitely not something that I've seen, or I feel like I'm just playing the same game that I've played before. It had a little bit of a comparison to Coimbra as far as your dice drafting.
A little bit. In that regard, yeah, but that's really the only similarity.
About the only similarity. Yeah, I agree, but the play of the drafting, it was similar.
Right.
And the cards you get with it, and there was a little bit of similarity to Coimbra, but that's the closest thing I can think of to this game.
I think I can agree with the 9. It really scratched every itch that I like in a Euro. It's got so many different elements. It was just fun. Even if you have all those elements, if it's not fun, you play it once, but then you're done. But it scratched every itch, but at the same time, it was just a blast to play. Enjoyed it a lot. So I'd give it a 9.
You're going lower.
You're going to be an 8, aren't you?
Oh, no, I think she's going to go lower than that. No?
So here's the thing. It does scratch all the itches, but for some reason, I just couldn't get into it this go around. And I don't know.
You think you need another playthrough, or are you really comfortable with thinking that it's just not?
I think I need another playthrough. It's like I don't feel like anything's wrong with the game, because there is the tile placement. I think everything's balanced. Like if you're like, why do you not? What do you have any issues with the game? No, everything's fine.
You didn't score as high as you thought you should.
No. I know why I felt. No. I know why I felt. I didn't realize that those cards got scored at half at the end of the game. That's fine. That was because I never listened to the rules anyway. That's totally my fault. I do have one critique. These things are useless. I didn't use one of those things.
I don't agree. I used the one where you get to flip the die over twice during the game.
Oh.
I used the one where you get to choose different colors during the game twice. If I almost used the 2 coins to buy the cards at the end, because I thought that one could have been super powerful, because you can play as many as you want. So if you have enough gems, you could stock your cards again and go back and do that action again. I mean,
oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
I thought those were really useful. The ones that I don't think may have been as good is the one that lets you go counterclockwise on the dials. That one seeemed like it was probably not great. Although
if it meant getting into a tent that you really wanted, and you didn't want to go all the way around.
There might be a scenario where that could be useful. And then the other one was that you got to, I forget what that one did. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was going to be really useful in this game, but it might be in another one. But yeah, they're not nearly as powerful as the ones you have, and that didn't bother me because those are the common ones that everyone can use.
I think for me, maybe, and I think my biggest thing is I didn't connect with the game. And I think there is something about, and that's probably why I didn't score it like as high as on theme and things like that, because I just didn't connect. But as far as gameplay mechanics go, I do think it's spot on. I have to give this, I can't give it less than an 8, even though I didn't connect with it. Like, you guys giving a 9, I completely understand why you did that and totally agree with that sentiment. But because of my connection issue with the game, I'm giving it an
8. Okay.
But all around, great scores.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's still a great game. And it's
I
a
highly
solid
recommend
game.
it.
Yeah.
It is really good. It's
So-
a really, really good game.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. We hope you had fun, and I know we did. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button or the notification bell if you want to hang out with us again. We'd love to see you guys again.
Bye.
Bye.